Christy. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you like this video. This is actually going to be a wrap-up for the Camp NaNoWriMo July series. So if you missed the other videos, I'll have them linked down below. If you are new to revision, if you've never revised a novel before and you're curious or maybe want some inspiration on, how other people have done it, I have my very first video that I did for Camp NaNoWriMo, my first update, was me going through my revision checklist for this novel. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely check that out. But in this video, I wanted to share my progress, how everything turned out for me this month for Camp NaNoWriMo. And if you don't know, I'm writing a contemporary women's fiction novel. So my goal was 100 pages, which was sort of an arbitrary number that I just kind of pulled out of thin air. My real goal was to finish my revision. I had started it before the month and I worked through the first act before the month, so I wasn't quite sure, how many pages to really put as my goal. But yeah, so out of 100, I finished the month with 72 pages. So I was just shy of 75% of the way to my goal, but that's okay. Truthfully, I learned so many things and I got so many things out of this month that it really doesn't bum me out the fact that I didn't, officially achieve my goal. So this month I had an amazing cabin full of awesome author tubers, and we had some really great discussions that inspired a lot in me, inspired a lot of research and a lot of self-reflection in my own work. So that was really great, and they were also motivating, with each other, and it was a wonderful cabin, wonderful experience. I really hope that I get to be in their cabin again. I also got a clearer idea of how much I'm able to do in a day, in a week, in a month. Like I said, because I had revised my previous novel, and it was kind of a discouraging experience because I felt like I hadn't quite, still after all those years, hadn't really figured out a formula or anything. This month really showed me, it just enlightened me as to how much I'm able to do when I give myself a time limit, and I really stick to some, stay really, really focused on a specific task. So that was really good. I also learned a lot about formatting, specifically, actual formatting, but then, chapter length, scene length. I did a lot of analysis in regards to my own word count. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here in a second. But the other thing was that I was actually traveling a bit this month. So I'm fairly certain that if it hadn't been for that trip, I would have probably made my goal, but it was totally fine. I enjoyed my trip, no regrets. And the most important and most exciting thing that happened to me this month is that I got a critique partner. So I actually technically got 3 critique partners, and oh my gosh, I have been needing a critique partner for years. Like, I knew that I needed more eyes on my work and I needed more feedback, but I think I was just really nervous to share my work up until this point, till I knew that there was no other way to move forward. I just really needed feedback. And the other reason I think it took me a while to find a critique partner is that I really wanted to find someone in my genre, because I just figured that if I found a critique partner who maybe was an amazing writer but just really didn't love my genre the way that I do, it just might not be the right fit, and I just wanted to find someone who had the same enthusiasm for my genre that I do, so I can get, the right kind of feedback. So, but I wanted to share where I found my critique partners, because, some other people might be in the same position. They're looking for someone in, their genre. And I found them on Twitter. There was a Twitter event called CP Match, and it's hosted by Megan. I can't think of her last name at the moment. I feel bad. I will link it. I'll show it on the screen so that you can see. And also I'm going to link her. She has a blog post where she covers the rules and guidelines and tips on how to participate in the event. So basically she will post on Twitter the date of the next event. And so this last time, it was, in July, obviously, and she posted a couple of weeks ahead of time. So I would definitely recommend follow that hashtag CPMatch. And if you're following it, then you'll likely catch when the next event is going to be. But yeah, so anyway, just essentially what it is you post your pitch with the CP Match hashtag, and then you also put basically some clues as to what you kind of bring to the table as a critique partner. So she has some hashtags, some abbreviations for different styles. Like, you could be a fan of the compliment sandwich, or you could be brutally honest, or maybe you're straight to the point, or you could be a good copy editor. So you put those things with your pitch, so that people that are looking for that kind of thing, because maybe you're not really comfortable giving brutally honest feedback, but someone wants that, so they, that might help. And then you also put your genre in there too, so that people looking specifically for that can find it. But having critique partners so far has been amazing. It is amazing what just a second pair of eyeballs can do, because you as the author, your whole story from beginning to end. You know everything about your characters and their background, even stuff that's not in the novel, but just about them. And so it's easy to miss things. It's easy to, just miss plot holes and just miss parts where it's just not super obvious to the reader as to maybe what's happening or what the characters are feeling and experiencing. And for me, especially because my novel has a lot of mystery to it, there are secrets in the main character's past that kind of come to light throughout the course of the novel, and they definitely influence her characterization and how everything unfolds. They're very important to the plot. So I definitely needed help. I still do. This is a work in progress here. But I need help with identifying, especially in the beginning, the places where I'm not giving enough. I'm not giving enough of the backstory that the reader can get fully invested, because I just want to make sure that I'm not leaving too much until the end. I have a lot of twists and things that I had planned towards the end of Act 2, or even, I would say more towards the end of Act 2. So I just want to make sure that I'm not just, I want to keep a good sense of mystery, but give them enough. So anyway, I'm beating a dead horse here. But if you haven't had a critique partner before, or you're just really new to the process, I do want to give you a heads up that it is a mutually beneficial arrangement. So you also are giving, you're reading their work and giving your own feedback as well. So that has been a really fun experience for me too. Because I did a lot of critiquing, or a fair bit of it, back in college, but I haven't really done any since. And so it's been really good to stretch my legs, in that area. And and it's just fun, getting to use my skills as a reader and a writer, to just help someone else with their story. It's kind of a nice change of pace when you've just been so focused on your own story for so long. So anyway, it's been really refreshing and really fun. Okay, so going back to formatting and talking about chapter and scene length and all that other stuff. So I have known for a while now that I did want to vary the length of, my scenes and my chapters. It's funny because if I'm just writing and I'm not paying any attention, all of my scenes pretty much turn out to be the exact same length, which is about 1,500 words per scene. And then, so I'll talk about chapter in a second, but basically what inspired this for me is there was a discussion in my cabin, my Camp NaNoWriMo cabin, and I can't remember who, but someone brought up the question of, how many words are your chapters, and so I had to think about, I had to look, because my writing software that I use will tell me, it'll tell me. So my chapters were on average 5,000 words. And at first I thought, okay, that's fine, you know, I didn't see anything wrong with that. I did a little bit more research and I found out that the typical average is 1,000 to 3,000 words. And what's really funny is that this last draft, when I went to check on my word count, I believe I was at 80,000 words, but I felt like I had too few chapters. And it's funny, like I should have known then, okay, well my chapters are too long, I need to shorten them and split them up better. But it didn't really occur to me until this month, so that was a really good learning opportunity. So the way I solved this is basically I just moved certain scenes to the next chapter, and I didn't do it randomly. It was definitely, you know, because I want every chapter to end on sort of a question mark, something to keep the reader, you know, turning the page to the next chapter because they want to see what happens. So I try to do it strategically. Some scenes are, yeah, and some scenes actually ended up being their own chapter, which was unexpected for me because I didn't see that coming, but it played out really nicely that way. And in terms of varying my chapter lengths, I don't want it to be so because it's not like a thriller or something where it should always be something different and keep the reader on their toes and all that stuff, you know. But I do want, so I kind of want, how do I say this? I think a really nice balance is to have, you know, maybe the first chapter somewhat shorter so that it gets the reader in, and sort of before they even know it, they're on to chapter 2, so they don't really have a chance to put the book down. That's sort of the way that I look at it. And then I think chapters 2 and 3 through the end of the first act should be fairly consistent. And then maybe throw something, and I feel like once you've got kind of a steady pace, throw something in there that's a little bit different, maybe a really short chapter, just to kind of mix things up. And then obviously I think a lot of us know sort of when you're getting closer to that climax at the end of Act 2, you really want to speed up those chapters, you know, for that pacing, to get that effect of quicker pacing. And then you can kind of like draw everything out a little bit more in Act 3 as you're sort of resolving everything after the climax. So as of now, my shortest chapters are about 1,500 words, and I'm trying to keep my average at 3,000 words. So I don't really want to have any chapters 5,000 words, definitely not longer than that, but I'm trying not to do 5,000 words chapters unless it's really necessary, and so far I haven't found any reason that would be necessary. Because yeah, I feel like for a reader, for a reading experience, I know that when I'm reading a book, sometimes, especially like if I'm trying to go to bed or something like that, I'll flip through the pages, and if there are a ton of pages left, I'll stop where I'm at, I'll put the, you know, bookmark in, and I'll set it aside. But if there are, you know, only a few pages left, then I'll finish the chapter. And I feel like a lot of people are like that. And so I try to think of these sort of things as I'm, you know, like answering these questions for myself, and yeah, just kind of try to think about it from a reader's perspective. So I feel like, you know, that's one of the reasons why it might be better to keep our chapters shorter. I don't know. That's kind of where my head's at right now. So the other thing that I learned that I wanted to talk about is how formatting can change everything, and can change the length, the number of pages per scene and per chapter. So I discovered that I guess I just wasn't even paying attention because I use this writing software, and I think it was set as the default, but I was using Courier font. And I realized that my other critique partners were using Times New Roman. And so, and I remembered that reading, so this was actually in William Bernhard's book, Sizzling Style. I talked about this in one of my other videos that I did. So here's what he wrote: Times New Roman 12 font, 1-inch margins on all sides, double spaced, left justified, indent your paragraphs with no extra space in between paragraphs, and then in the upper right corner, your header should have your last name and the title of your manuscript. So So like I said, I was using Courier font, and so that definitely made a huge impact on the number of pages that my chapters and my scenes were. And it's interesting because I remembered, I swear, that I had writing classes in college that called for Courier font. So I don't know, I haven't like gone and done much more research in this regard, but I don't know if it depends on, you know, novel writing versus other kinds of writing maybe. Or maybe the standard has just changed over time. I have no idea. But the other thing that I realized, aside from the font, is that I was inserting an extra space in between paragraphs and I didn't need to. I was confused because my writing software, it's not obvious that it exports in double space lines. It looks like single space lines, but it does indent for me automatically between paragraphs. It indents. So I was inserting a space in between the paragraph because I thought it was single spaced. And anyway, it doesn't matter. But so I just stopped. I deleted all the extra spaces so that way when it comes out, it's just double spaced and everything's just squished together much more nicely. And I don't know. Anyway, so all that being said, after I made those formatting changes, it really shrunk up the page numbers. So when I was sending my work to my critique partners, I felt better about it. You know, it was like 5 pages would be shaved off per chapter or something like that. And I just felt way more confident sending it to them. So as of August, I am still working on my revision, but I decided to take a small break so that I can focus on my blurb for my query, my pitch, because another Twitter event is coming up, Pit Mad, that I wanted to participate in September 5th, I want to say. So yeah, I really have been needing a good pitch. It's funny because during CP match, I didn't even really have a pitch. I sort of used just a general about me and about what I write. So, and luckily it still did the trick, but I have been kind of embarrassed because I haven't been able to talk about my plot at all. And it's just because I've been so focused on getting on drafting and revising and, you know, doing all of those things that I just haven't really spent the time to focus on, you know, on my blurbs and my pitch, and my synopsis is the other thing that I need to do that I'm planning on doing this month. So yeah, so I'm just gonna take a break and get those things done. That way I have them in my back pocket when I need to use them for things, and then I'm gonna come back to my revision. And again, I do plan on having that done this month. I think I might just have to fit in a couple of extra hours every week, but I think I can do it. So the other thing that I wanted to mention is that I am going to be participating in NaNoWriMo in November. So I'm going to be writing a rough draft of a brand new novel, and I don't know exactly which one yet. I have several ideas that I'm kind of tinkering with, but yeah, so I'm going to be figuring that out in the next few months and posting a lot of content about that, about my preparations for NaNoWriMo. So if you're not already subscribed, I hope that you do so that you don't miss those videos. And if you followed me along all through Camp NaNoWriMo July, thank you so much. And if you participated yourself, I hope you had a great experience. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, I'm going to link my other videos for Camp NaNoWriMo July down below. And thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.